First year in front of the service center, someone put a little ball on it.
I like them. I think they look cool.
Yeah,
They're-
they do when they get big.
They're just different.
Inverse is even nicer.
We'll go check.
Inverse is more narrow and upright,
Okay.
but probably harder to find.
More like the Grinch tree, though. Because that one was a tile, you know.
Actually,
I have to
variety
go,
would
I have
be a
to,
nice-
you have to
nice
use what you
fit.
know. Let me turn my ringer off here.
I was wondering why Judy hadn't lit this can.
I did what?
Well, you haven't started to lit this can. Get this going before early.
I know, you're early. I'm waiting on Maureen to make sure we're on YouTube.
I think Ruby Sunset's a hybrid, isn't it, between truncatum and?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are nice plants, some of them are very nice.
But, you know, before you leave, you need to make sure, oh no, she's got you on the list, okay. Just want to make sure we have everybody on the list.
Well, there was a list for me to sign, but I made one up. You got it.
Okay,
She's got
thank
it,
you.
okay.
All ready?
We're ready? Okay. All right. Hey, here we are again. Thanks everybody for showing up. Oh, I didn't ask about ours. Quentin's, yeah, we got a couple people aren't here yet, so we'll get that here in a minute. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from last month? Only thing, well, there were a couple typos, but one of the things that I changed was on the last paragraph of page 2, where we were under other, when we were talking about the garden club. You know, they'd given us the $1,200 for pollinators. And I had ordered $600 worth of bulbs. It was actually $610, I think. With the shipping charges, it was a little over $1,200. So we used all the garden money. Yeah. And I thought, if I'd have known that, I'd have driven to Marysville.
Yeah, they charge
You know?
us about the same amount as it cost us.
Yeah, it costs as much to ship it as it did to buy.
$600.
Yes, to have them delivered. Yeah.
From
I-
what distance?
When I talked with them, they said, well, they'll be shipping, and I said, that's not bad, is it? She said, no, it's not bad.
I guess on which side of the shipping go you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lesson learned, you know, we do another daffodil order, I'll drive to Marysville.
Yeah.
I can do that. I'll take a few hours and drive to Marysville, I suppose, spending the money. But anyway, we've got the daffodils ordered. That was one of the things that it wasn't really
You got a haircut.
part of anything other than it was in the minutes, so we changed it in the minutes.
Look, acceptable.
So-
Clean cut. I don't know if you like that.
Questions about them? Approve them?
Sorry.
The only thing I saw was a couple attendants that were
Attendance was
off,
wrong?
but
Okay, let me get to it.
What
that
was
was
it?
the only thing I saw.
Laura, what'd you say? I
Oh,
can't.
the only thing I saw was a couple attendants was off.
Like, I didn't bring mine with me.
Brian and Russ listed as present.
Oh, we did? Okay,
But
Oh,
that's,
yeah,
that's
Russ
the
was
only
a
thing I
slack.
saw
okay.
looking through there.
Yeah, see, I didn't, you know, I'm gonna have to pay a little bit of attention. I go right for the, I go for the verbiage to see if it had everything we talked about. I didn't pay attention to that. That was one of the things I missed. So, we good?
So you need a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from last meeting for the October 27th.
All right, good deal. You second it? All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Great, thank you. Then, on the financial side, we haven't spent, other than the $1,200 that the garden club gave us, we haven't spent any money since last March, so we're in good shape for the money that we will be spending here in the near future with the fall plantings. I didn't put anything under new, because nothing had, since the last meeting, nothing had come up other than what we'd talked about in the past, so I just put everything under old. Anybody got any ideas other than the old stuff that they might want to bring up?
can't remember what part of when you come into Mount Vernon, but the Bee City sign was faded. Do you guys have plans to replace those? Like the one coming in on Harcourt Road's real prominent, real nice.
So they're all brand new.
Yeah,
The brand new.
They've only
I
been
don't
there
remember
about a
what it
year.
was. Maybe it's two. I don't know. I'll find out and I'll let you know.
yeah,
I
when
thought
you,
it was 229. I'm not sure. But I will find out.
yeah,
Tree City one? It's not Bee City?
It was one of the Tree City signs?
No, it was a Bee City one.
They should all be new. It could be under warranty if it's fading already.
vandals, yeah. We've got a couple of the Tree City signs have been bent by, I would assume, people with mowers, running into them or something. I pull on them when I put the stickers on, but haven't been real successful. All right, well, sometime, if you see that, again, make
I'll
a
send
note
it
of
to
it,
you.
so we can look into that. Okay, so let's talk about Bee City, since Quentin's here. Number one, Quentin, how much time did you spend this last month?
On shade
Shade
tree
tree.
stuff? Oh, I don't know. 25 hours.
All right, do you have any updates with Bee City?
Yeah, so I checked into getting the shrubs that we talked about planting on Beach Street. So, Leaves for Wildlife in Sunbury has lots of the sweet shrub and the arrowwood, but they're out of New Jersey tea, and they're getting kind of low on the coralberry.
So which
So-
ones are the smaller ones, which ones are the larger ones? Because I don't know, I don't remember.
I think the New Jersey tea was was a smaller one
Because
too.
that was we were gonna do the most of one of them, like
Yeah,
30 or something of one of them.
yeah, we might have to just go out there and see what's in stock sometime. I can just get a blanket purchase order for however much we want to spend, and then we'll just spend that much money and drive the rest back.
What kind of price range were you in with those?
So the sweet shrub and arrowwood were $25 each.
These are like gallon pots?
I believe so. Yeah, maybe 2 gallon.
Okay. But they weren't like sticks.
No, they weren't life steaks. No.
That must be wholesale price.
They're pretty reasonable, yeah.
So we can estimate $25 a piece.
Yep.
Is there a reason why, like, you guys don't shop locally? Is there no nurseries here?
That's
Like, we
the
got
most
Dale
local
from here.
native nursery I know of. And it's technically Sunbury, but it's more like Marengo. It's only about 25 minutes away. Yeah, we don't really have a nursery in Mount Vernon anymore. Country Colors in Fredericktown is probably the closest nursery that's local.
And they don't carry.
They have some native stuff, but that's not really what they specialize in. Leaves for Wildlife actually pretty much starts, from what I know, they start a lot of their stuff themselves. They get locally collected seed and start it all from seed on their own. So
Well, okay, so because my brain doesn't always work, I used a calculator. It came up to $11.25.
mhm.
So we're approximately $1,200 about what we're paying for daffodils.
I have one comment on one of the selections. Viburnum leaf beetle has been observed in Granville, and so that's close. Used to be up just in northern Ohio, and that's a devastating insect on arrowwood.
On Arrowwood?
I don't think it's as devastating on the Carlsii complex, which would include primifolium and the other,
Yeah.
the other one, nannyberry, but it is devastating on arrowwood. So
We-
that's something that might occur,
Yeah.
and you can treat it with imidacloprid compounds, and that's successful, but without treatment, it can be extremely devastating. So if we're gonna go whole hog on arrowwood, we could have an issue.
Yeah.
We could go half hog on
Half
arrowwood.
hog on
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
be aware of that, that's
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
it's close,
It's close enough, yes. Okay.
and that's a nasty thing.
We can make a note to, I'd like to prepare a tree when you get it planted.
Yeah, we can just get it on the list, and that's a product you can use or you use.
And you could use a granular application and give you about 2 to 3 months control once it gets, you know, into the plant system.
Right. Get us through the growing season. Last First Friday was canceled, right?
It was.
So you didn't
Yeah.
finish out there, but how was your year, would you say?
It was all right. So the last two, I guess you would say technically were canceled because the penultimate one only lasted about an hour before we got a downpour. But we did have 2 volunteers that day, and we packed a bunch of seed. So we'll have a lot of seed to hand out for the BFEC Fall Festival that's coming up, which is our next event.
When and where?
It's at the Brown Family Environmental Center, just kind of right there in their yard by their educational building. And I think it's in October.
So you're just gonna hand out packets of seeds?
Yeah, basically what we do at the First Friday. We set up our booth and talk to people, and we might do an activity. I think last year we did little like seed bombs. Was that last year that we did that? One year we did that. Yeah, you just kind of take some clay and some sand and you mix some seeds in, and then you pull it up into a ball, and then it'll dry out, and then you can just like crush it and throw it somewhere in somebody's yard and maybe get some seed. It's fun.
Okay.
B City wasn't there last year? Oh, it must have been 2 years ago then.
I got Canadian thistle.
That's, yeah.
Maybe.
Just for you, that was the Canadian thistle balls.
Yeah, what we've done just like little cup plantings too, where kids come and get some soil and just plant a seed in a little mouthwash cup.
Why do we do events outside the city limits if we're funded by the city of Mount Vernon?
Say that again?
Why do we do events outside the city limits, like you said, the Brown Environmental Center, and it's outside of Mount Vernon city limits?
So B City is not funded by anything really. We have the only thing we have that's paid for by the city would be a banner that we use, and we're doing the events because we're trying to reach out to people that are in the community. So like when we go to First Friday, it's not even, I'd probably say half the people there don't live in the city limits, but they're here experiencing Mount Vernon and they're part of it. So anything that we do that helps the community around us is going to help Mount Vernon. The pollinators can't get to an island. So if Mount Vernon in itself just exists as a little pollinator heaven, but they don't have a way to get in and out of here, then it doesn't really do us any good. So in order for us to work as a community in B City, we have to also engage the surrounding communities. And so, yeah, that's
That makes sense.
that's our way. It's just a way to reach people. And there are a lot of people from Mount Vernon that go to the Brown Family Environmental Center events too.
Now I understand.
Yep.
Thanks.
They call it like a pollinator corridor. It allows them to travel to.
Yep.
Good deal. Anything
Like,
else?
Are we historically attracting bees? Like you see, like on the news, like up by Lake Erie, I don't know what the plan is. Let's say Silkwood, where they attract butterflies. Does Bee City try to do butterflies, or are we strictly bees?
Bee City is, I mean, a little bit of a misnomer. It's pollinators in general, all native pollinators. They all start with a B. That's why I think it's kind of funny about it. Bees, birds, butterflies, bats, beetles. So,
Butterflies.
yeah,
Okay, I didn't know.
yeah, all of it.
All right. Good job. Another great year. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, you want to tell us what you've been up to? Other than golf?
Oh, golf's been over for 3 weeks,
Oh, man.
but I never quit. So. Working on stakes, wraps, we're moving those. I still have to get the ones on Newark Road out there. I stopped to talk to the people, their houses for sale. The one you got the text
yeah.
about.
Okay.
I stopped, no one was home, and I just didn't want to come rolling in with the truck and the trailer and start tearing into their yard when it's for sale. So I'm going to make contact with them later this week and finish that up. Been spraying the Japanese knotweed is in beautiful bloom right now. It's really growing. So actually found 3 very large established areas over at Aerial Foundation Park. You know, and it's not in the west. It's along the hill between the woods and I mean, one's probably half the size of this room. So I'm going to be taking care of that once this rain gets through. And I think I'll have a couple-day window. I'll get it treated and taken care of. The autumn olive we're making headway on it, especially at Aerial Foundation along where we sprayed over there along the river. It's the mix that we're using with the diaquat and the glyphosate and a little bit of garland is working well. So we'll be able to hopefully keep that at bay. Also, now that we're getting a little bit of rain, I'm going to start doing fertilizing. So I'm going to concentrate on it. I did a little bit of cleated iron and some manganese on a few other trees before the rain, but now that it's raining, that'll help because I'm going to use some of the granular that'll dissolve a little slower over the fall and stuff as they've taken up their nutrients. Also, on a different note, I wanted you guys to know that the Aerial Foundation Conservancy Board reached out and they hired me to manage Aerial Foundation Park part-time for the rest of this year and possibly next year. That affects what we do not at all. I'm still going to be running my business and doing that. This is a part-time job that I'm going to do for them. Jennifer has moved on to another job. So I've just started that 8 or 9 days ago. So just doing that, and I think that kind of helps us out a little bit too, because I'll be out there to be able to keep an eye on a lot of the stuff that we planted and things.
Yeah, I have my list here of the trees we talked about that are out there.
Yes.
But there were some that were going to be removed by the Mark that works.
Mike?
Mike. I knew it was an M.
Yeah, it'll probably be me.
Okay.
I got to talk to Randy about borrowing a backhoe so we can pull those conifers out, and I think we're gonna plant Norways in there, aren't we? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do that. You know, up there by the clock house where a couple of them's dying back, we're gonna replace them. And then there's a sassafras I'm gonna pull out as well, and get rid of it. The other ones, once we got the water bags on there, imagine that they got a little water, they're turned back green a little bit, and they're doing all right. I did take a look and I evaluated a lot of the trees that we planted last year in that area. There's still a little bit of wrap I got to get off of some of them, but overall, I mean, it's been a hard year because it's been a real dry year. Yeah. And everything's stressed and kind of dumped, they're dropping their leaves early and things like that. So I think this spring we'll do another evaluation when everything starts blooming and stuff and be able to take a look at it. But I think we're looking pretty good out there. There's some trees on West High I'm going to go ahead and prune later this week and get those, just some suckers and things that came back after I pruned last year. And then there was a couple. Remember I removed an oak and something else last year.
On the south side.
Yes, and there's a few suckers down there. I'm going to go ahead and get those cut and put a little Toradon on them and get that taken care of so they don't come back anymore. So
Okay.
other than that, that's what I've been doing. I'm going to go ahead and do one more drive-by down there where we worked on where the encampment was. I'm going to take another look at it down there and take a look at those trees there. There's probably about a half a dozen I'm going to remove that where you planted them by the sludge lagoons that didn't make it. So, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull the fence and clean it up really well and then put the fence back so we don't get deer rubs on them and deer damage. Okay.
Are we planting by the lagoon again this year? Are they put stakes back out there to catch the ones that didn't come in to get your percentage?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you want me to get?
Glasses were glaring on.
Who are you looking for?
Do you want me to get a count or anything for you?
No, we got it counted.
Oh.
We know how many we need to plant and where.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just need to
And the
wait till it's time to plant trees.
yeah, and the Big John sycamores, I think they're finally getting established, and yeah, they're gonna do well. So I cleaned up around those, and that's gonna be a nice grove down there. That's gonna be a nice grove of trees. So
So when are you, I don't remember our dates on when you're done helping us do your stuff.
through October.
Through October.
Yeah, so I'll be able to fertilize and finish up what little bit of stakes there are and anything else. Oh, and you'll notice out by the dog pound that should start turning brown out there. In the vine jungle, so to
In that
speak.
jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy was gonna cut a bunch of that down, and then, not this Randy,
Oh,
Brian.
Brian, yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying, yeah, I'm terrible with names, sorry.
that's all right.
It's like trees, beech birch, Mike.
Oh, it's wild grape, it's everything. Oak, or poison oak, poison ivy.
Yeah,
It's a long sleeve and a masked affair when I get in that stuff, so.
yes.
Other than that, oh, and I did do a quick evaluation out there on the islands. Remember we planted the
Yeah,
golden dawn and the redwood. 2 of the 3 are alive still. So the
That's
one
pretty good.
that is pretty good, because that was when I had my neck surgery and they didn't get any attention at all. So we're going to give them a little bit of nutrients here this fall and I want to get those islands cleaned up, and then we'll talk this spring about maybe some cover if you want to do something out there.
that was one of the things, Jennifer, she wanted to find someone to adopt them, so they get out there and do it. But
She had a lot of ideas and a lot of good ideas, but it's adoption's okay until you realize that you're out there with a machete trying to clear something off. So that the fun kind of leaves when you start doing that. So other than that, you guys got any questions or
I
anything?
do, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm new to the community.
Yeah.
3 months old. Are you, like when you said you're fertilizing, you're doing that, are you doing this as a volunteer or you get paid for it?
I have a contract with Shade Tree.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what
there's a grant that I think the Ariel Foundation funds, and then I do that, and then I also have a contract with engineering to handle some of the noxious and invasive weeds and trees.
Do city employees do anything like with?
They don't do a thing. No.
No.
No, they do. It's just over and above. I know, like Randy's guys, a lot of those probably do some trimming in the parks, and if they need to, I can help them out. And
Like I went here at the beginning of the year. Did you come there? Hey, here's what I think our recommendation is. Like,
we started.
all these trees we're talking about, I have no clue.
Yeah.
what we're talking
Well,
about.
that's a good question, because how this got started was back years and years ago. Actually, when I was superintendent, we got talking because, we're blessed with a lot of money, and we want to be good stewards. You just can't throw a tree in the ground, and especially street trees, they need a little bit more attention and some help. So we talked about it and stuff. And then after I retired a couple of years, then Kate Burley and I talked, and Doc, and they went to the Ariel Foundation and applied for a grant. And then the grants, there's a couple of them. There's 2 or 3 in there, Quentin, altogether.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, because I don't do any big trees anymore. I'm too old and I don't climb anymore or anything. So I do the smaller trees, and I do fertilization, insecticide, pesticides, things like that on different areas, like your arborvitaes and things like that. They get the bagworms and things like that. We do a systemic treat on those that lasts anywhere from 12 to 24 months, actually, some of it. And then what we do is each year, then Doc or someone on, Sarah or someone will go to the Ariel Foundation and apply to renew the grant. And that's what we do. And then I've always kind of been around and helped out wherever they needed it too. So
Then you come and say, hey, this is what our recommendation is, and we're gonna do this. Like I heard you guys before the meeting talk about like St. Vincent's doing this and this thing.
yeah, Brian, a lot of times Brian will give me a call and he'll say, hey, if you get a chance, take a look at this tree and tell me what you think and stuff. So we bounce things off there, and Brian's a great resource as well. I use Brian a lot to.
Is the grant use it or lose it? Can it be carried over?
No, we've never carried it. And with grants, they have to be, they're help me out. Specifically for that grant it was written for, so.
It's for a specific period of time.
Yeah, yeah. And I know there's SOS, and I think Hardwick's done some work for you, and there's quite a few guys that do it. I just do the small stuff. And then, like, last year I trimmed High Street from the creek all the way to the city limits. And then, and I still got to hit the river birch over there. I'm going to cut a lot of that dead out. And then, I usually try to pick a street, or we talk and we pick a street that needs it, where we've did a large planting and then haven't been back for a year or so, because as I pull stakes, I prune. Like this year, what did we say, it was 500? Right around 500 trees I've trimmed and pruned this year. And then there'll be at least half that many will be fertilized this fall. So we do that. When I pull the stakes and the wraps, I'll do a light pruning right then, cut off dead or anything like that's, obvious right then and there. Try to take care of some branches that, look like they're going to cross or have a problem.
Oh, I did the tour of the city with Doc. He reminded me that Shade Tree has the second largest budget, like in city government.
Oh, with their grants, absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't know, like, when you was telling me this, like, you're actually a paid employee, you're just not a volunteer out there doing it.
Right. Yeah, in like the hours, he asked me how many hours. I said 15 or 20. That's over and above what the contract is. I
I call him up and say, hey, Scott.
I usually about 8:30 on a Friday morning, my phone will ring and it'll be Doc. So, and then we'll go over a list of stuff he has, and it's a good relationship because I enjoy it, and it's a service that we need. We need to be good stewards of the things that we're.
Don't we have to plant so many trees a year to keep the tree city?
I don't think so. I think we're doing pretty good. I mean, we've planted. My gosh, you've averaged over 300 trees a year for many years.
There's no minimum.
Yeah, and that's with Doc with a bridle. That's holding him back a little bit. So, but yeah, it's been a good relationship, and I look forward to it. This is something that I enjoyed when I was superintendent, and then after I retired and stuff and started my own business, we were able to do that now.
You do this all yourself, or you got a crew?
It's just me.
He wrangles his wife in.
Well, yeah, she can't get away all the time, but like when we do a big trimming along High Street or something like that, I'll go and prune, then shape, and then she'll help me load and stuff like that, and we'll do that. I had my grandkids help me every now and then when they're in town from their travels all over. So,
yeah, can I have your phone number? I'll help you show me help.
Sure.
He's not on our list.
It should be, but if not, it's 740.
Yeah.
501-8472.
Call you. So when Doc asks me how many hours, I can get up above 5.
Oh, we can get you above 5, sure.
He'll be there soon.
Oh yeah. That's not even That's not even an afternoon doing steaks there. That'll be all right.
Oh, I like mine medium rare.
Absolutely. So.
One of the things we found through all the thing is getting trees in the ground is important, like Scott says, maintaining, but if he can get them pruned properly in the first couple years of growth, we don't have problems with them later in life.
It helps out. Well, and also I work with the Career Center a lot. Like over at Hiawatha Park, we planted 85 trees there this spring. And the Career Center kids, the landscape and design and building trades came over because it was so wet. They hand dug everything. So we planted those, in 2.5 days? Yeah.
And he's out there teaching them how to wrap, how to straighten
Yeah.
and all that.
I'll tell you what, there's 2 girls in that landscape and design. I showed them one time, like, wrapping and staking a tree. Next thing I know, they're teaching the other kids. They got 2 other kids over there showing them how to do it. So they see my truck pull in, they come over, they get the driver, the wrap, and the twine, and away they go. So it's fun to work with the kids. I at the high school for 8 years, and all the time my son was young. So it's a good thing. I enjoy doing it. So
Question?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. We got a question.
I should back up and say that their bagworm, what's typically called bagworm, should not be confused with eastern tent caterpillar, which also forms a bag, or fall webworm. Those are cosmetic insects that cause cosmetic damage, particular and quite significant on especially black walnut, and robinium, black lotus. But the problem with bagworm, which forms a little cone-like structure, and they manufacture a very strong, extremely strong silken thread that they attach these bags to. The problem with those is they prefer evergreens. Now, deciduous plants have the capacity to initiate lateral buds and regrow. And so if the terminals are damaged by the feeding of the insect, the tree's really not in any great danger, maybe misshapen or whatever, but it's not going to die. But when you have it on an arborvitae, or particularly blue spruce, very subject to it, you can cause permanent damage and death because they're hitting the growing points of that tree and they have no ability to reinitiate growth. Okay, so they're extremely problematic on that. And most homeowners can't distinguish the difference between cone structures and these bags. They think the conifer's in cone, right? And they leave them alone.
Yeah.
that's why they have me, because I
Yeah.
know the difference in them, so we can take care of them.
Yeah, and the easiest way, they can be controlled rather easily when they're in the crawler stage. All you have to do is get some sticky traps and put them outside where the temperature conditions are similar, and when they start to emerge, that's when you apply your sprays. And you'll have 100% control, if you get the coverage right.
Yeah.
Right? You can use the systemics, as he's mentioned, but that is also another way to do it. So, I've seen them on fence posts and iron gates. They'll attach their structures.
I've seen them in maples when they've been bad before.
Yeah?
I've seen them in
Maples.
deciduals. Not nearly like they are in evergreens, but yeah, they can. Evergreens, they do a lot of damage. That's why we keep a close eye on them.
I just didn't know if the committee was familiar with the difference between a bagworm and the other types of insects that form bags. And those, I wanted to point it out.
Unfortunately, you're talking to the guy that doesn't know the difference between a beech and a birch.
You do, you just get them confused.
I do know that. But yeah, well, and I'm with 99% of the population. It looks like a bagworm. But yeah, I've seen them on arborvitae. Actually, they've killed a couple of them at my office. And they do look like cones. You know, I looked at it and thought, oh, it's just part of the plant. Until it turned brown and didn't make it. I had to dig it out and replace it. So. All right. I didn't put TCP on here, but I'd like to hit that real quick before we get into the bigger thing, or some of the other things, newer, I guess. So what have you got?
Well, I'm just working through the list. I'm probably about halfway through contacting people and meeting with them. And it seems like I'm going to use my whole budget
Good.
based on things. But yeah, I'm just trying to get through people. And once I have enough sort of to meet with, I'll ask Brian to come with me and sort of finalize recommendations. But determining number and location and basic types. And he will help me with the final advice. I think this is more a comment from Zane. So I was at the one on North Jefferson. I met with the lady that you asked me about in an email.
Oh, the one that's leaving for a while or something?
No, that was a different one. But she had lost the phone number and you asked.
Oh, yeah.
But across the street from her house is a really dramatic tree that is huge and has a giant split or crotch in it. And you're going to ask me what kind, and I don't
That's fine.
know. But while it's really dramatic, she said she was worried about it. I would have to think the house next to it might be worried about it.
If
So
it's
I don't know if
probably not.
it's huge, and it's like literally looking like it's already sort of
Do you remember
being
that
apart.
address?
Hers is 205 North Jefferson. and
Close
it's
enough.
across the street. So that
Take a look.
Cabled.
if you could look at it or
Yep.
in the area.
I will do so.
But otherwise, I'm just plugging along.
Getting your numbers in.
Yep.
Good, very good. So when you say hitting your numbers, probably 60?
Well, for 20,000, that's 67, right? I think I'll probably get to that.
Good deal.
that the one that goes from the west side of Sandusky all the way around that district, or is it?
Oh, this is TCP. She's,
Oh, this is-
she's
I'm
all
just,
over town.
yeah, all
I
over
thought
the
you
place.
said tip, okay.
No, she's all over town.
So you trim trees? Shade tree? Like, you're talking about this tree
Well,
has a crotch and she's worried
if there,
about.
if there is a tree that is the city's that seems problematic, people call into engineering and they assess it, so we don't really. But I'm just suggesting maybe
Take a look at
something we wanna look at, that's like,
Does
it's not
the
under
city-
our,
does the city trim
if
the
it's,
tree?
if
Like,
it's a city tree.
Yep.
it. City tree, we will take
Yep.
care of it.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, let's say you plant a tree,
Well, you can't plant a tree in the city right away without a permit. So that's how we control that.
and like the residents not in charge of it after that?
You can, no,
There between the sidewalk and the
yeah,
curb.
as long as it's in your yard, it's on you, and then it's entirely on you. But if you want to plant a tree in the right of way, that's why we have a permitting process, because the city's going to accept that now as their property to maintain. Now with the Tree City Partners, it's a little different. We have this like sort of 2-year agreement where they water it, you know, for the
Right.
first year, and then keep an eye on it for us. But after that, it's ours if it's in the right of way. So.
I didn't know that. I thought, like, if you planted a tree for me, let's say, 2 years from now, it needs trimmed, but if it's on city property, the city would take care of it. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
no,
I
we
thought it was
don't, we
property.
only typically do safety trims and removals when they're hazard trees. We don't do beauty trims unless it's on a park tree or one of the trees on the square or something like that. So if you do want just a cosmetic trim of a tree in a right of way, you would have to pay for that yourself. But you also need a permit for that.
Yeah,
so.
you call in, I would look at it and say, yeah, go ahead and
Yep.
sign off on the permit, but the cost.
But
would
not to be
you.
super, if it's a city property, you say, we gotta get a permit, it's your tree, but if you want a cosmetic tree, then it's property, why is there a difference like that?
Well, no, it just, if you want a cosmetic trim of the tree, because we don't have the funds to cosmetically trim all, I don't know, 20,000 trees that are in Mount Vernon. That's just like, there's no way.
That's what I'm asking, if it's on city property, and you guys said, like this tree she described on North Jefferson.
It's a hazard. So
Okay.
if it's a safety hazard, we will trim it or remove it. as
And I
necessary.
believe there's
But
no
if it's just
sidewalk.
cosmetic-
I think it's a city tree.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk, but
Yeah.
I know exactly, it's like a
You know the tree.
3-lead silver maple or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool, but
Yeah,
It's on North Jefferson.
it's on the east side.
east side,
Sure.
Yeah, for future consideration, based on your question, you should never have anyone prune your tree unless they're a registered arborist. Okay? I used to do a lot of work on the side, you know, when I was working at the Arboretum. We never hired anybody that wasn't a registered arborist, first off, at the Arboretum. I would have people say to me, I'll pay you if you'll top that tree, and I'd say, I'm not gonna do that. I said, and they get really mad. I said, I will not do that. And so, but somebody that's not a registered arborist is likely to do that because they're gonna make money. And they're gonna ruin that tree and they're gonna reduce its longevity significantly. And so that's my suggestion to any of you that might wanna have some pruning done, some structural pruning done. Always make sure you have a registered arborist that's vetted as insurance. Okay? If the tree's being taken out, who cares? Get the cheapest bid. They have insurance.
And Darius Hartwick is a art certified arborist. He's out of Centerburg.
To back that up, I think in the past year I've had one request for a cosmetic trim. Doesn't happen a lot. So,
And also, if this particular tree that you're referring to, and you can't tell us what it is, if the tree appraisal value is very high on that tree, it might want to try to be salvaged with cabling. In other words, it could be extremely rare. It might be an old yellowwood.
it's not in
Something
this
of that
case. The 3-lead silver maple that's about the
Oh,
fall
silver
over.
maple? Well,
Yeah.
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 But I'm just saying, it could be a very valuable tree that would have a high tree appraisal value.
again, we're not the experts in that, that's why
Yes.
Zane gets the,
Yeah.
We defer that kind of stuff. All right, well, thank you for your work, your due diligence. Okay, so now we're gonna talk to Laura about the West End and Sandusky Street.
Well, I don't have a lot, but out of the 351 postcards that went out, 128 responses have come back. out of that, there were, let's see, 73 yeses on the west side and 12 on Sandusky Street. So that's what, 85 yeses out of 128.
I
So
actually
pretty
got
good.
4 more yeses this morning on the west end and 1 more yes on Sandusky this
Okay.
morning.
So
So we're up
four.
to 97.
So
That's-
4 more on the west side and 1 on Sandusky.
Yeah, we're 77 yeses
Okay.
on the west end and 13 on Sandusky.
Okay. And then this is going to go till next Tuesday, correct, till the 1st? So we've got another week or so. to
Yeah,
get-
first or the end of the first week in October, we'll continue to collect cars and maybe revisit next year, but
Right.
for this year's, yeah.
That's very good. I thought we'd get 35 in the west end. So
We're 3 from 100 total, so, on the cars we sent out.
Yeah.
that's very good. In Sandusky Street, 12, I thought we'd get more than that. Okay.
12 plus the 1. So
Well,
now
13.
13. So now 13, yeah.
We put 30 in on the east side. I thought we'd get at least 30 on the west side. But we didn't. Not yet, anyway. We got a week. Maybe
So have
it'll-
more than you thought we were going to get.
Yeah, we're still doing way more than I thought.
Yeah.
As far as the west end, I'm very happy with that.
Is it because the people have to maintain the water bag?
No, these are in the tree lawn. It's legally city property, the tree lawn. And because we are the city, we can do anything we darn well please there. But we've found over the years that if the homeowner doesn't want a tree, it won't survive.
And that goes back to what Scott said, giving it the best chance we can, so.
So we ask, would you be okay with that? We've got a better chance of long-term supply if they say yes. If they say no and we put a tree there. We had people 2 years ago that said yes, changed their mind and dug the trees out. And left them laying in the yard and then called and said, come and fix my yard.
Did we?
Yes.
Was it an owner or a renter?
That was a private property out on Newark Road. That was an interesting day. We'd been out there 3 times, marked it, they stood there and said, yes, this is what we want, this is what we want, and then we planted it, they pulled them out. So, come fix our yard, we don't want your stuff. It's just interesting. So no, we really don't have to, it's a tree lawn, we could do anything we want. But we're better off if we have everybody buy in. So that's why we're not planting 100 trees on Sandusky Street, we're only gonna plant
13
13.
plus.
But in next year, we may come in and put in 2 or 3 more. Because the folks will see them and they'll say, hey, I'd like to have more. Or I'd like to have one. My neighbor has a nice tree, I'd like one too. So what we have to do with that is you and I have to get together. I know you've got Sundays and Mondays. So you and I have to get together and work out a time when we can go through, call the folks and go and take a look at their property and see what they want. And start putting out flags. And we'll coordinate that with Brian. He'll come with us.
Okay. Yeah, I think we were maybe going to try to get Brianna to make some calls.
Yeah, and I'll help in
See
every way I
what-
can too.
See if we can get her to make calls. The problem, when I talked with Brian, he said Mondays are no problem. He could do that with you at your
Okay.
convenience. But he wouldn't like to do Sunday,
Okay.
which throws me out because I don't have Monday.
Good for Monday.
But yeah, it may be a Sunday afternoon or something,
Okay.
you know. So
Okay.
we'll work out
Yeah.
a way to get everybody out there and get all the properties looked at, get flags in, and make sure we know what we're doing where.
I'm thinking maybe we should go over, I should give you my list of West Side people just to make sure they didn't respond as well.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea.
You can actually, I think I have probably the most up-to-date list for
You
responses.
should, yeah.
So you can send that to me, and I'll cross-reference on
Okay, well, my list is actually from the
Oh, no, I have.
engineering site, but yeah, I just thought like that might happen last year. Dwayne and I had some
Some
overlap because they were on the list, but then they also sent the postcard back. So.
I'll check for that and see if there are any duplicates.
And anything else?
No, I
Good? Things are
think
going
that's
on?
pretty much all I've got right now.
Now, the fun starts here real soon. Walk in the neighborhood. That's a lot of trees to walk around.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. We've got a new member. Between the two of you, you'll get it done. See? You sit there and be quiet, you get volunteered for stuff.
Hey, I'm just soaking it in.
This is first time he'll learn.
Trying to figure out who's what and where and all that.
Yeah, well, it can be confusing sometimes. We just have a lot of irons in the fire. Through the year, we do a lot of planning, and this time of year, things really just kind of start, the snowball starts rolling down the hill.
Yeah, this part of the year happens quick.
Yeah, and it came quick this year.
I do have a question though. When do we think the trees are gonna start to go in? Like how soon?
So yeah, we usually start in the fall, and then we usually go through the winter if the winter cooperates.
Okay,
Who knows on that, and we always finish up in the spring.
okay.
And this year seems like everything seems to be moving slow this year. I mean, I think because of the drought, you know, I think just everything's slower this year, so, say, keep that in mind, just don't tell everybody fall because it won't happen.
Right, okay, yeah, for
But-
sure.
But
Up through
none
the
of the-
spring though.
Yeah, none of the trees get dug till they don't dig them until they go dormant.
Okay,
So all the leaves have to be off after dormant. So usually they don't probably start digging until November.
Correct.
okay,
And Mother Nature kind of trumps everything, so.
for sure.
Last year she cooperated pretty good, I think. The year before, it rained a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, when you started last year, all of a sudden you got them all in within like a couple week window because it was working real good. You didn't have to wait for nothing and just kept plugged away and got them all in and did good.
the
Felt
year
like,
before we were running behind.
yeah.
Yeah, we were finishing them up in June and July. As long as we water them, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got on here, Catherine Street and Pleasant Street with your name, Russ. You see that?
Yep, and I have no clue
Yeah,
about
we-
postcards and all that.
Yeah,
but
well.
who do I get
We're-
started with that
Well,
way?
we're gonna talk about right here.
Okay.
So Zane, what are your numbers for that area?
Yeah, so we sent postcards out a little over a week ago, and we've got more responses than I expected in that amount of time. 3 people want trees already on Pleasant, 4 on Catherine, out of 25 for each. So you know, it's not a big list, and it's a pretty small area. So people are wanting trees. So what we'll do, we'll continue to accept those cards as they come in, collect the responses, and then here in the next couple weeks, I'll get that, and we can probably honestly start now, but it's a small list, and do the same as what Laura and Brianna will do. We'll make contact with those homeowners who wanted trees, give them a call, go visit the site, mark out locations for the trees. Catherine's unique in that there is no tree line, so all the trees will be private property trees. So that's a little different than normal, but doesn't really change the process any. And then once we go to the site and actually look where the trees will go, we'll choose what trees, and Brian will provide said trees, and we'll get them planted. So,
Okay.
yeah.
How you guys get their phone numbers and all that?
So we have a couple ways. The county has, the auditor's website has all the parcel and address and everything data, so we reach out by sending letters and then they provide the addresses, or if we have a service account with them in the city, we're able to reach out to them that way. So.
Does the postcard, like last year's postcards had a spot for email and phone number?
Yep.
So
Yep.
you can just put it on there.
So
Yeah, they put it on the card.
yeah.
All right. So that's something that's coming up.
Mhm.
So when we get done today, Quentin and I are going to go through our budgets here and figure out where we are, make sure everything's good. I don't see that we'll be in the problem or any kind of problem with it, but it's something that we'll go through and just make sure so that we can cover all of our wants and desires. And then I have an unofficial list that we'll see where we can work with. We have 5 trees at the Cagozie Gap Trail that we put in along the parking lot that have died, so they're on the replacement list. There's the parking lot on the corner of Ohio and Gay Street. There's one tree there that Scott cut off And you know what? That thing's got suckers all over the place. The tree died. Now there's tons of
Oh,
suckers
is there?
coming out.
I haven't even looked at it.
That-
I'll go back
so
and-
that'll be on the replacement list.
I think it was a crab or something.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, they were some ornamental trees.
Yeah.
They didn't plant any real shade trees along those parking lots, which is
Well, that was a redbud tree.
oh, was it?
Was it a red bud?
Yeah, the second parking lot up.
Oh, that's unusual.
Okay.
You had me take a look. And I want to talk to you about that because it's coming up multi-stem.
You want me to
And,
just burn it back?
and it really wouldn't be a bad place for a multi-stem redbud to be.
More of a bush instead of a tree.
It'll still grow up, be a tree, but I think we can let nature take its course there personally.
I can go by and just kind of clean it up a little bit and see what it does.
Hey, I'm open to that. If we can save it,
Experiment.
yeah, if we can save it, that's good.
It's already grown this.
Is it really?
Yeah, three nice separate stems and.
I've got an arborvitae that a tornado tore in half, and I've got a new lead
That's
taken
unusual.
over for it.
That's good. Memorial Park there, we put in some trees this last year is that the Babe Ruth Park, Babe Ruth Diamond? I think there's room for another one there if it works out in our list. The YMCA, the Living Center. We've been contacted by the Board of Education there, their property at the old Elmwood School. They took down a bunch of pine trees around their parking lot, and they're asking if we could help them out with that. Brian and I looked at it, every place is underneath a wire. Yeah, it's a whole parking lot surrounded by wire, so we haven't gone much further on that. I've got a list here of Arrow Foundation Park trees, and then moving the trees at St. Vincent, weeping Norway spruce. Moving one of those out. The other one Brian didn't feel was worth the expense or effort of moving, and then planting two more trees in there for the St. Vincent. So those are kind of on the list once we know where we are financially. Then we got a couple minutes. Rusty, anything happening on your end that we need to know about? Anything you need?
I was wondering, when was we planning on pulling the bags for the deadline for?
Yeah. Well, you have people through, what's your deadline? Well, when's your last day of employment for this? Folks?
Probably gonna be November 1st.
Okay. So you probably need a week to pull them and another week to clean them? Is that a reasonable thing? You might talk to.
I think it would be, if, weather permitting.
So, yeah, do it accordingly, stop filling them when it's gonna work in your schedule to have your help to get it done.
Maybe 2 more weeks of watering.
That's, yeah, what is that, another,
To the middle of October anyway.
yeah, that's another 3 weeks. And then spend a week getting them pulled, or a day, I don't know how long it'd take to pull them, but get them pulled and cleaned and put away. Yay.
Yeah.
You inspect them, you gotta throw out what you need to throw out.
We talked about when we plant now, we're gonna go ahead and put a small guard. Remember when we talked about, do you have those guards that I took?
I do
from
have
Ariel?
some, and I
Okay.
meant to see how many.
Okay, that's something this winter I could volunteer and cut down or
Yeah.
something. That way we.
With
when
that
we
in
get the
mind-
Bag, put that on.
Yeah, when they pull the bag, put the guard on.
At least give them something to hit with the weed eater before the tree.
Yeah, yeah,
Or that's something we could probably work on later if they don't have time, with getting the bags off.
okay.
So I think that's a good, even if it's just 12 or 18 inches,
Yeah,
just good.
'cause I know some areas with the deer getting to them also,
Yeah.
Okay,
we need them on there.
all right, and then, we talked about the generator, so we'll do that in the spring. So
Yeah.
that gives you this winter to get a bid and find out what you can get and go that route. Your pumps should be good, we just replaced those.
Yeah, we don't like talking about them, we're working, so.
Your hoses held up, you're good on hoses, so you,
Actually, no, next year cause they was questioning them a couple weeks ago, and I thought, well, with it being this late in the season, it'd be nice to get them through the rest of this year, so, but we are going to have new ones on them.
well, so then, yeah, work that up too and get me and then, I got a message from A.M. Leonard, they started a program this year, pre-orders. So if we pre-order bags now for delivery during the winter months, we can get the price that we paid, which is, I ordered them 3 times this year, and each time we ordered them, they went up. So the last price we paid, which was almost $1,700 for the 100, is the price I can lock in
For a 15-gallon bag,
for 20-gallon bag.
20-gallon.
They went up a bunch, yeah.
And that's not Gator brand, that's the AM Lena
Well,
brand.
yeah, my goodness, the way
Yeah.
it's hitting with mowers and weed eaters, you don't wanna.
Yeah, we got hit hard with them this year, so that's something, you know, last time we talked, I think you said you had a box or almost a full box sitting there.
Yeah,
of new ones.
and I know we dug into that, used a few, but yeah.
So that might be something that maybe we should plan on spending some money. I think, I'll confirm it, but I think I can lock it in at this year's price, but not have to pay for it until next year when they deliver it. So if that's the way I understood it, but I'll confirm that. If that's the case, I think it would be a good idea to lock in 100 of them.
Yeah.
Questions, concerns? You think it's a good idea, guys?
Have you bought at least that many every year?
We didn't buy any last year.
Okay.
This year we hit it hard. We had to buy 300 because we didn't buy any the year before.
They don't
so,
go bad and they won't get cheaper, so.
yeah,
I have a place to store them.
you have a place to store them, don't
Yeah,
So yeah, I think okay. I'll get a hold of them and see about locking in another 100 of them.
yeah, 'cause some of them we lost were just from the zippers failing, being older, that we tried to keep.
Old news, did we ever get reimbursed from that mowing company that punctured some of our bags a couple of minutes ago? Meetings ago, something was brought up.
Yeah, it was Precision was gonna. He said send us a statement, and I'd asked Scott or Terry Scott to do that, but then he's not here, so I'm not sure. And Quentin couldn't print out our list of receivables. Is that what it is? Where we get our money from? What was that?
The revenue report?
Revenue report, yeah, names. They're my bane. The revenue report, if that did get sent out and did come in, then it would show up on a revenue report, but I haven't seen, we haven't got one yet. We're gonna work on getting one print out to see if we got it. That's the only way I can follow up with it. So we might be out of luck on
How many was it? Like 10 or so?
that. Yeah,
I can't
I
remember.
think he did 10, I think,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Yeah, I know it was at least 10 that we had said.
Then there were some at,
$20 a bag almost.
Hiawatha
Yeah.
Park had a few damage too, but that was a different company, and
Yeah.
I don't
Doesn't
remember.
sound like their name quite fits what they do.
Yeah.
Unless they're aimed
Well, that
at-
was a question. How can you hit them? They got mulch on them. They got a stake in them. There's a bag there. Because that was one of the things when I said they're hitting the bags. He said, "Well, put some mulch around it." I said, "They're brand new trees. They have mulch."
I actually went over and treated further out in the bags.
So that, yeah, to give them, kind of give them a little bit more space. Okay, well, we are really close to our time. Does anybody have anything else that we haven't talked about?
I have one thing,
What do you
but
got?
I don't know if we have enough. There's not enough time, I can defer it.
We got about 3 minutes.
Well, I
Where's
live
my
in,
timer?
Quentin knows where I live, he's been out there. I live on the new Gilchrist Estates, which is off of Upper Gilchrist.
Yes.
We're not part of the city yet because the bond hasn't been released because of issues that have nothing to do with trees. But I'm sort of a liaison between many of the homeowners, not the condo people, but the homeowners, the people that can garden and like to garden. And we are ground zero for deer issues. I mean, a deer will eat a potted plant off your kitchen window. And I've actually seen that happen, and it would happen there too. And they're not eating plants that are susceptible normally to deer injury. They're eating things which every list would say are deer resistant. There are so many of them. Now, I want to know what kind of deer control measures we can get initiated. I have animal control. I have an individual that's a licensed animal control person that would just salivate at going up there with a crossbow and taking a few of these out. And I think every resident's behind me, everyone I've talked to.
Well, there was a city ordinance back probably going back a decade for the east end of town where you was allowed to archery hunt on your own property. I would imagine that ordinance is still in effect. I don't remember it being repealed, but you would have to probably address city council,
I just wanna know what to do.
address city council and ask, and I would do it before like a meeting. I would try to find out, I would go probably to, safety service first for engineering and, ask to discuss remedies or
Is there a
thoughts.
phone number in the book again? Or
I
Maureen?
don't know the legislation.
what? I'm new to Mount Vernon relatively.
Yeah,
look it up.
Maureen works in the safety service office. I asked if she ever gets questions regarding this.
No, but the person to ask for a legal question is the law director. So I would talk to Rob Rory, he's the law director.
Okay, could I possibly get
Yeah,
someone to write
I
that
can
down?
get,
Okay.
I can get his number.
Judy, you got something to write it on?
Yeah.
Judy will get it for you.
And, all things legal should go through him.
Well,
I wouldn't take legal advice from an engineer. I wouldn't take engineering advice from a lawyer.
Obviously, gun hunting is not ever gonna be allowed there, but a bow hunt would be safe and I think quiet but where they would hunt is still on Schlabach properties. So it's not gonna be on anybody's individual property except that company's property.
Well, is it in the city or not in the city?
It's, well, as I mentioned.
We're annexed. You're annexed.
We are.
Yeah, you're annexed.
So they're bonded, that just doesn't, the bond issue has nothing to do with
It
it?
has nothing to do with
Yeah, I don't
annexation.
want someone else's.
No, that has to do with the stormwater pond maintenance.
So I guess we're part of the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you were annexed before the development.
So yeah, legal, the
But I
legal
must
department.
say that many communities around this area, including Gahanna and Worthington, are going through this measure right now about controlling deer because they are devastating, absolutely devastating. The only thing I can grow in my front yard are conifers, specifically spruce and fir. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
or I have to cage everything, I got cages everywhere.
yeah. I have an opinion about deer. I don't think they shoot enough of them, my opinion.
Well, you have to look at Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a significant disease that's becoming more prevalent. And that is a terrible disease on human beings.
Yes, it is. All right, well, any other questions?
But thank you for letting me.
Oh, hey, we appreciate your input.
Make a motion and close.
Second it.
Second it, all in favor?
Right.
Here.